Good evening, everyone. And it's a late night Friday night. And it's Talkin from the Cheap Seats with Rumble and the Gazoo. This week, there is no Gazoo, but we will have a special stand in, and I will bring him in a minute or two. He's the creator of the Gorilla Position Network. He wears more hats than Billy Martin. I'd like to bring in Ray Fingers. Yeah, you have more knuckleheaded names. Is that braids in your six pieces of hair?
5 braids, bruh. 5. That's what I've been working on under the hat for the last 5 months, brother. It's now revealed.
You are crazy.
Yes, I am. Listen, with the way my Wi-Fi goes, bro, if I keep getting screwed up, what I'll do is I'll just keep bouncing out and coming back in. That's how I did it last time.
Yes. All right. So, anyways, you ain't gonna worry about stiff Mike. This show is a little different. We're gonna talk the 4 major sports. Give it, 12 to 15 minutes at most. Some of the most interesting stuff. I found this very interesting, so I want to kick it right on the table. The Boston Bruins off to their hottest start, but it was very funny. Let's kick to a subject that happened with the Bruins on the signing of the supposed prospect. And when you texted me the other night, when you said you were anxious to do the show, you wanted to talk a little bit about this, and let's just address the elephant in the room. What are your feelings on?
Well, before I learned the whole story, I had no criticism for the Bruins for trying to nab a talent like that maybe made a mistake, maybe one mistake. I did not realize at the time that he was unrepentant. I thought he maybe did that one incident at 14 years old or whatever he was, and I'm thinking, you know what, man, if I was on trial for everything that I did and was in the public eye, I would be just as shamed. I'm not saying I did anything as bad as that, but I've done some questionable things. This dude was repentant, dude. You know what I mean? So as far as Neely and the management and the criticism that they're getting, I'm still kind of half on the fence on my criticism for that, because I'm not sure if they purposely did a blind eye or didn't do their full due diligence. But in competition, bro, if you got a chance to make a steal on a talent, I get it. I just don't know if they tried to sneak it by. But it was pretty. He's got a Wikipedia page. It's out there.
What exactly? What was it? Was it bullying gone to the extreme?
The incident.
What was he? What was
the incident?
What was he accused of?
The incident that he was actually prosecuted for was something on the lines of, taking like a lollipop or something and washing and rubbing it in the urinal and making the dude lick it. He was prosecuted for that. But this went all the way from grade school. Like the type of bullying went all the way from grade school all the way to like graduation. So it was like that incident happened, got in trouble for it. And then when it was all over, it continued. And then it continued with his band of friends. I'm not all about cancel culture, Jay. I'm far from it. But
yeah,
if someone makes a mistake and they have remorse and they show signs of trying to right those wrongs, by all means, man, everybody deserves a second chance. But this dude did not stop after being prosecuted. So, fuck him. We're all human beings, man. You know what I mean? And just because you're talented doesn't give you the right to go on in life to be a fucking asshole to others. Just like, for instance, if someone serves in the military, we
Yeah.
respect their service, but you know what? It doesn't give someone who served a right to treat people like shit just because they served. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot.
Yeah, oh, yeah. All right.
There are some people with valor that think they have a right to do that. And I don't know any personally, but they're out there. Just
Yeah,
because you're a certain way, man, doesn't give you a right to fucking treat people like shit. Not over and over and
exactly.
over.
All
That's
right.
that's my
So
take on that.
the Bruins right now are off to a 12-2 start. The season began without McAvoy, without Marchand. Uh, before this season started, the hot stove really was not hot at all for the Bruins. It was
Neither was I,
basically
Jay.
criticized.
It started with Bruce Cassidy's
I guess
firing.
what I'm trying to, yep, what I'm trying to put out there is that the Bruins were very vanilla uh, going into it, having this incredible start. It's a start that they've never had in franchise history. The home record that they haven't had since 1983. Uh, we was I was 11 years old. I can remember those years. I believe that you'd have to say 11 years old. That was like a Brad Park type of
That
year,
was
and
that was that was that was the
maybe Nifty
'83.
Middleton was still around.
That was the Pete Peters year.
Yeah, so that Middleton was there. I got that sticker book,
Yep, it
the
was
top sticker.
Middleton. That was when Crucial Niski came up and joined that line as a rookie.
I had his. I got his jersey. I went all the way to the Bruins Pro Shop, and I got his All Star jersey. When he went to Edmonton, I was so disappointed.
Dude, they traded
Loved
him
Mike.
dude, I boycotted that trade like you wouldn't believe, bro. And the appeal of Crucial Niski was his name because it went all the way down
Yeah,
the back. And he was my favorite player. And they Linsman was a good player, but like I thought that was a bad trade because he was young, and that line brought them to 6 games with the Dynasty Islanders. They got to game
yes,
6. And the only reason they didn't win, Jay, is because Pete Peters got hurt and they were riding with Mike Moffat.
Mike Moffat. What a name! A blast from the past. Mike.
Jay, the 83 Bruins would have won the Stanley Cup if Peters didn't get hurt. Anyhow, I got when Crucial Niski went to the Oilers, he also went to the Kings when Gretzky went to the Kings. So I downstairs have a Mike Crucial Niski Kings shirt. Remind me to show you. It's hanging on my hanger.
So do you believe? Did you think the Bruins would be like at this point?
No,
It's impressive that Marchand has come back. Pasternak is off to a great start. Krejci's looking good. Bergeron's looking good. I've listened to a few different. I haven't watched many games, but I've listened to a lot of pregame, and I've watched some stuff on Nesson, those inside interviews. Love all the interviews that I've heard, not just watched. I watched 2 that were of the new coach, and just what the guys are saying about the new coach. It just seems like it's a whole different culture in the.
there you have the reason, Jay. That's the reason. Speak about second chances. James Montgomery's had some problems, right? And they nothing like Mitchell or anything, but yeah, he had to battle some demons, man. And I didn't give the guy a chance, but he is the difference. I guess they did need a new voice in there because I loved Cassidy. I thought he was a great coach, but in sports, man, you got to change the voice, and sometimes that sparks a team. Plus, you add David Krejci back. That's what Taylor Hall has been missing. He missed that last year. Krejci was look at Hall. He's playing better than he has since he was an MVP for the Devils.
Yeah.
And they're just clicking on all cylinders. You know, this could be Bergeron's last stand. I'd like to see him get another year out of him. I know he's 38 or whatever, but he's a very old 38 because he's been on the Bruins since he was 18. But they seem re-energized, and it's all James Montgomery, buddy. What happened, man? All right, gonna do it.
Well, Jimmy Fingers, his internet was quite devastating there with that noise going on, and he is back. Very dubious noise.
Yeah, I don't know,
Back
man.
in the studio.
I don't know. I mean, I have not figured it out on my end. I have no interference. But I'm not gonna leave this podcast, man. I'm gonna keep bouncing out and coming back in, man. I'm gonna be as professional as
It's all,
possible.
so
Yeah, James
let's
Montgomery,
talk.
man. He's the key. He's the key. I've been proven wrong, and I'm happy to be.
Yeah, it was very confusing on who was going to be the Bruins coach. When we were talking 2, 3, 4 months ago, just a cooler talk, as they say. Uh, copy, copy, the copy of news. Everybody at the cubicles at work, as they talk Boston sports, really didn't know. From free agent signings to especially the coach on who was going to come in a few
I,
months back. It
I,
was
I
just,
couldn't even think of a name who they could have brought in. You know, I didn't have anyone in mind. I had no clue. I loved Cassidy.
yeah. So for as much as Sweeney and Neely were looking like bozos, I mean, other than this signing of the young kid, they kind of look like like they stepped in shit and they got a shoe shine.
I think Sweeney and Neely as the brass are still boneheads. I think that they're just doing it, having success in spite of it. I think they got lucky. And
Okay.
that's okay. Neely's my favorite hockey player, dude. You know what I mean? But like he's the 2015 draft, man. I can't even think about it. But they look. I can't explain it, but I'm very happy to see it. I I thought that their loss to St. Louis in the finals was their last kick at it.
And it could be 2022. I understand it's only 14 games deep into what they play an 80 game season, I believe it is.
84 games, and I'll tell you, when they lost that last final, when you look at how well the team has been since 2010, it's a shame that they only have one cup in that time. 3 cup appearances. Okay, I'll let the Chicago one go, but they should have won that one against St. Louis. They were the better team. Tuukka Rask,
Yeah.
I'll go all day long on him. But look at Allmark, man. He's looking like Ken Dryden out there. Who would have thought?
Swayman had a day. Listen, Swayman came in the other night and helped steal that one when they were down 5-0. So you can't
Goalies?
say that Swayman. That's
No,
a lot of pressure on you to go in there.
don't you remember the days of Chivas and Gilles Gilbert, Andy Mogan, Reggie Lemelin, man? Like isn't it wise to have 2 guys that can go instead of trying to do the whole Marty Brodeur thing and just have a goalie play 80 games? You lose that goalie and you're screwed. So if you can put someone else in between the pipes, I mean, that's what the big bad Bruins used to do. They had God, they always had a second goalie that was adequate,
Yes.
and they haven't had it since they had
Days.
they haven't had that since Mogan Lemelin.
Yeah.
I mean, they're like pitches. You know what I mean? You gotta give them a blow. Yeah, they don't play every day, but it's still demanding between the pipes, man. You got to give them a rest. And right now they got a good tandem, and that could be a secret ingredient here is Swayman and Allmark. And Allmark was a signing that I shit on last year.
Not only you, but many others, frowned upon the signing of Olmark. They're like, why would they give a guy who's a backup goalie in Buffalo? He was the Buffalo backup goalie. But people had said when he was in there, the record was deceiving, and he's someone they felt could shine as a prospect in the NHL.
That's something that'll make Neely and Sweeney look good too if he's able to carry them to the promised land.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's move on to the Boston Celtics. The Celtics tonight with a big win over the Nuggets, and they were without Brogdon. Jason Tatum, 34 points. Tatum was off to a point start. Then his broken Larry Bird's record over the past, I believe it was the first 8 or 9 games. Was it?
Yeah, I just pray to God that Tatum learns from the experience he got last year in the finals. That the Celtics could roll right to the finals again, but if he doesn't show up and the moment gets too big for him, then we got a Tuukka Rask, in the big spot type of player, which I hope not. But that experience was invaluable in defeat. They still went 6 games, which is great. The Ime Adoka thing still kind of has me jaded, man, because I believe that he was the secret ingredient last year that brought this team together. Now the talent is there. How do you feel about this new coach? Are they just on overdrive and just it doesn't matter who the coach is in your opinion, or do you think that will matter come May?
I think with a team that's young like this, I believe when you have a veteran team that has already tasted success, I think the coach is more of a guy there keeping everything in reins, keeping the reins on you to keep your eyes on focus. So how is it that I just put that the Celtics team right now is a young team with a lot of so to speak, finals appearances? Tatum and Brown have been there. Let's not forget the famous locker room incident at the bubble during the pandemic. So the Celtics were in the Eastern Conference Finals that year. I believe they were in the Eastern Conference Finals 2 years before that.
They were in the 3 out of 4 years, man, and they took the Cavs to 7 games without Kyrie.
So looking at it this way, this young Celtics team has a lot of experience. So I think this young guy that's coaching them now, Joe Mazzulla, I think Joe is there, and as long as he can keep everybody's interest into the game, I think that I don't think the coaching for the Celtics is that much more instrumental without having Ime there. He was one of Ime's guys. He knows what's going on.
Yeah, he was there last year, right?
He's the OS, and he was handpicked by Tatum and Brown basically on who should take over. And they stepped up and said Joe Mazzulla should be the guy that takes the chance, should take the ring.
I still would love to know what Udoka did, Jay.
Well, it has to be big enough that not even the Nets were willing to touch him.
Absolutely, yeah. The Nets didn't touch him, and I thought that it would put the team in shambles, but obviously they're, like you said, all that experience. And Tatum, a rookie Tatum, was there for those finals appearances with Kyrie. Uh, Not that Kyrie had any, bearing on it, but like he was drafted and a rookie when they went to the Eastern Conference Finals twice. Marcus Smart has been there now 4 times. Jaylen Brown has been there 4 times, and now this group has been to the finals. Man, it's a step in the right direction. And not unfortunately, but the Bruins and the Celtics are all we have right now as far as teams that have a chance for a championship. Patriots and Red Sox are not there, bro. But we'll get to them.
So the Celtics, yes, it's very and it's an experienced team. Big Al has been there. I think the team feeds off Al to a certain extent too. I think Al's a guy that you could look at that's like a coach that's on the floor with these guys.
Well, do you remember? You remember the 2008 2010 Celtics? The team was so stacked with veteran leadership, like the PJ Browns and the Sam Cassells. Man, those are valuable pieces to a championship team. And I would have loved to have seen maybe a couple of more type of players added like that. But then again, not Carmelo Anthony. I thought a Dwight Howard would have been a pretty good pick to just come off the bench. What's that, Jay?
Horford and Howard have real life heat.
Oh, they do.
Like, yes, to the point where Horford would have asked for a trade or would have threatened on retirement.
Well, he now who's their backup center? Is it Horford who backs up Time Lord?
Yes, it is. But right now, that white kid's going out there. What's his name there? And there's a new surprise guy, number 4, that's been coming off the bench.
You know who I liked? I liked Aaron Baines. I thought Aaron Baines was a good bench player off the bench. Big body, big banger. But like as of right now, it's just there's really not a lot to criticize. And you know me, I love to criticize.
I'd like to see him take a stab at a guy like LaMarcus Aldridge, veteran guy.
And then don't forget, man, depending on where the Celtics are come February when the trade deadline comes, man, there's going to be some ring chasers out there available. And when the Celtics were in their pinnacle between 2008 and 2012, man, they were bringing in people like Stephon Marbury. They got Shaq in his last season to come off the bench, who did play very well in a bench role for the Celtics until his ankle gave out. And that was one of Danny Ainge's hugest fumbles, was trading Perkins that year, because that made Shaq the starting center and his body couldn't take it. He was so complimentary off the bench. But that was like their last run with the KG teams. It's been a decade, man, and it took them 14 years to get back to the finals. But I like where they sit. I do.
I thought we were getting the title last summer, man. I really did.
After Game 3, I did too. But let me tell you, man, Stephon Curry is a stone cold killer, man. He is just. If Tatum didn't shit his pants, which he did, it could have went 7 and it could have been anyone's game, man. But the Celtics were up in that series, and we got nothing from Tatum. Like, Jaylen Brown played well, everybody played well, but Tatum just, he might have had an injury, that's fine, but he just did not give us one Tatum game in the finals, not one. Maybe he was tired, maybe not getting that far, caught up to him, and again, being a young player, and it's that they still took a huge step forward, and 6 games in the finals. I thought they had a shot, but after Game 4, I just saw it in Curry's eyes, man. Like, Tatum needs to have that killer look, and he didn't have it.
You would think a guy who idolizes Kobe Bryant, all
It,
that stuff, has that. He don't got the. He didn't have no Mamba
the moment,
mentality. He
Jay,
had
the moment got too big for him, and that's fine. You know what I mean? Because that counts as experience. Jay, let me leave again and let me bounce back in. Let's see if we get an improvement. Okay, give me 1 second. Keep this rolling.
So everyone, who do you call when your windshield's busted? You call Giant Glass, 1-800-54-GIANT, and they'll send a truck out to you. Waiting for James Forbes to come back onto the program, experiencing some technical difficulties.
Am I sounding like I'm breaking up too?
No, a couple times. But other than that, no, didn't sound like you were breaking up at all.
I'll listen to the playback. I mean, I can understand you. If we had more guys in here, I'd probably be having the same type of technical difficulties I do. So being on one probably helps. But I can understand you, even though you're coming through distorted. So yeah, Celtics are yeah, I got nothing to complain about, man. I'm enjoying the ride, and it's nice to have two teams that you can feel good about as far as contention as we go into the winter here. Yeah, man, I got nothing else to add. I can't think of anything they need. I can't criticize the coaching. I can't say they got a hole here or a hole there. I would just hope that, come trade deadline, they could probably just stack on some more experience and some more bench depth, I guess.
Yeah, I agree. I think the one thing, and I'll leave it at this: if Brogdon can stay healthy and White can stay healthy, could that give you the possibility of trading Marcus Smart?
Yes, depending on what you're getting back. Would you do? And do you remember when all the Jaylen Brown for KD drama happened?
Yep.
If Marcus Smart could bolster his value in this time, and maybe you can get KD for Marcus Smart without giving up Jaylen Brown and say, here you go, Marcus, here's your own team now, be the superstar. I'd do that in a minute.
Can I tell you this?
Yep.
I'd like to add somebody. You look at the team they played tonight, the Celtics. They played, for those of you listening live or listening on a record, tonight the Celtics played the Denver Nuggets. And you got Jokic on that team with the young Murray. Wouldn't you love to have a guy, not just, you could never get Jokic, you'd have to give up the farm. But wouldn't you like to have a guy like a Jokic in the middle with a guy like Brown and
Yes.
Tatum? See, Time Lord is off.
Yes, Jay. Who is that guy, though?
Imagine if Porzingis never got hurt. And
There's
he's doing really good right now. Porzingis is scoring 14 a night with Washington. You could put him in the middle, put Tatum at the small forward, put Williams at a power forward, Brown in the backcourt. And then when you need to get small, you decide who do you want running your point, White or Brogdon.
Is Porzingis healthy now?
Yes.
Would you do Smart for Porzingis?
Yeah, because I don't think it's the type of trade that's going to come back to bite me in the ass. But I would want a little bit more. Because right now you're giving up the defensive player of the year.
Well, his value will never be higher than it is now. And he wants to be the superstar, let's face it, you know what I mean? So if you can trade him to a team like that will not come back and bite you, Yeah, I mean, because you make a move like that, now you're looking at a 3-4 year window, uh, where they can contend every year. I mean, Golden State's got what, 4 championships in 8 years, man. The Celtics team is young. Let's get that, because you've got such a young nucleus here, and Stephon Curry won that one. What's he, like, 34 now?
Yes.
It's even
34th.
it's even crazy. A debate came out when I was and I watched these games with my cousin, and we got into this great debate about who's the best 3-point shooter you ever seen. And of course we're going to be biased to Larry Legend, but Larry Legend was already retired at this point. That mantle goes to Curry, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
Hands down.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not like shot for shot. It's just like you've got to factor durability and longevity in there. Larry only played 12 seasons. And Curry can go another 5, but you can tell, man, like he had that eye of the tiger, that extra motivation to do it without KD, even though he did win one without the other, but the other guy carried it. The first one, the name escapes me because I'm not that big on hoops, but he had to prove this to himself, because I never seen him get so emotional like that when he won. But he had to just say, "F you, KD, I got this." Tatum needs to take that shit, all that heat that he got and all that criticism he got, and when he gets to the finals again, he needs to be just stone cold Steve Austin. Jaylen Brown played with that type of chip. Jaylen Brown was like, dude, get off me, man. Like, dudes were trying to touch him and shit. He was just like, he had tunnel vision for like killing. You know what I mean? Brown he looked. Go ahead.
I thought Jalen Brown was going to do it all on its own, all on his own when Jason Tatum decided to shit himself.
Oh yeah, man. If the Celtics had went on to win that, man, Jaylen Brown's the MVP.
Without a doubt.
No question.
All right, so let's move on to a quick and easy subject. So today, the Boston Red Sox, it comes out that they did not offer 10 years to JD Martinez. He was the most notable one, but they offered 10 years. They offered 10 years to Bogarts and whatchamacallit, and Nate Eovaldi today.
Yeah, I'm okay with JD going. But if Bogarts goes, Jay, you've been around long enough to know that your Fred Linds, your Jim Rices, your Carlton Fisks, all came up through the system. Yes, all came up through the system. Yeah. And Ray Bork, yeah, he went to Colorado to end, but Bogarts is the captain, and you know what I mean. He's the longest tenured. He's got the frostings on the fingers, man. He's the leader of that team. And sorry, man, I'll take Bogarts over Trevor Story 10 times out of 9 or whatever, 11 times out of 10. He is the Boston Red Sox.
I'm not denying that. He's our Derek Jeter.
He is our Derek Jeter, yeah.
But what if the Red Sox go out, they sign Trey Turner, Aaron Judge,
okay,
and one of the 3 starting pitchers from who are free agents from the New York Mets?
Yes, sir. I'm in. That would be acceptable to me.
Okay.
Without a shadow of a doubt, I would accept that. But I am still, I mean, look at 4 years ago, it was only 4 years ago that this young nucleus, and Bogarts was still a senior member at that point. Bogarts, Betts, Benintendi, Chris Sale's garbage. We know that. He had no contribution to that World Series. Evaldi was the stud. Price was a stud. But like
Yes.
to think that Bogarts, Betts, and Benintendi, not that Benintendi was, all world, but he was serviceable. And when you think what he was replaced with, like the Franchi Corderos and the Hunter Renfroe, who was okay, he was good, but like you got to leave that shit in place, man. When you're winning titles, it's like nucleus is matters, man. Look at those early '90s Yankees teams. Like it matters. I mean, Evaldi's health is always in question, man. But he's proven that he can be a big game pitcher. I mean, it's hard for me to believe that the Red Sox were in the ALCS last year with that band of misfits by luck, and Bloom, as much as we all shit on him, just like just like Neely and Sweeney, like they won in spite of it. Christian Vazquez is a solid backstop, man. Like solid team leader as well. That team, the chickens came home to roost. Let's face it. They shouldn't have been where they were, but like, dude, you gotta re-sign Kyle Schwarber, dude. Let him play first base. Dude led the NL in home runs, I believe.
Yep.
It wasn't even a high price tag for him. And who else did they let go out of that? I mean, Chris Sale is just garbage. He is just like, that's what Dombrowski got fired for. But yet somehow he made it back to the World Series. Go figure.
Yep.
I don't know how much time is left on Sale, man, but they should just release him and eat the money, or get someone to pay some of it, because he is worthless. That is, I had so much high hopes for him, and he has done shit but break down in the middle of the year, his first 2 years, and then just shit. What did he do? He closed. They gave him a token close in the seventh, the deciding game in the World Series 4 years ago. He hasn't done shit since. Shit. I don't know the pitches of the. I last trade deadline, they had a shot to get Berrios, the pitcher for the Twins, who ended up going to the Jays. He could have been had. He's a young prospect, but their starting pitching is a mess. I don't see any, like Whitlock and how they got a little promise. They're going to be starters next year, but they need a bona fide ace. And if you're talking, who are you talking from the Mets? Syndergaard or who's available?
Jacob DeGrom, and there was two
DeGrom.
other guys.
DeGrom. Every team needs an ace, even in the days of analytics. It's like, I don't know who's up in the who can come up from the system or whatever, but like the Astros got rid of
I like the kid Brian Bayo that the Red Sox have, the young pitching prospect.
Yeah. But who was the shortstop that went to the Twins from the Astros? The superstar, the one that
Carlos, right?
Correa. Yeah, he went for the money, and they brought up Jeremy Pena, World Series MVP, year one. And you know what? As much as I hated the Astros or whatever, they were in the World Series last year. But hey, man, you saw what Belichick did, man. He was accused of cheating too. And you know what, man? If you're not cheating, you're not trying. So I got to put to rest the hatred on the Astros and give them respect. And I was very happy to see Dusty Baker win a World Series after taking 4 teams to a World Series as a manager. The Giants, the Cubs, and the Nationals, was it? Or was it just 3 teams?
No, I don't think that. I think that didn't the Nationals win the World Series the year they went?
Yes, they beat the Astros. I don't. Was Dusty Baker the manager then? Dusty
No,
managed.
Mike Rendon was, I believe.
Okay, I know Dusty managed there for a minute, but yeah, maybe he just missed it. But you know what? Dusty Baker was someone but when Cora was suspended or whatever, like Dusty Baker was like number one on my list,
Yeah.
and it would have been good to
In
kind of because they've never had a black manager, you know what I mean, kind of erase that stigma a little. But like I think that's all bullshit too, because you look at all the black players that's been here in the last 40 years, man, that we've all loved. It's just Boston's got that rap. I mean, Bill Russell, different story for him, man. He had real reason to hate the city back in his day. But you know
but
what I
he
mean?
loved it.
All these years later, you know what I mean? KG was embraced, Big Poppy, you know what I mean? It's just like I don't know. Racism is, it the only thing that will ever cure racism, Jay, is a freaking meteor. It'll always exist. Boston has an extra added reputation of it where I don't know why, but it's just as prevalent everywhere else in the world. Racism is, you're not born racist, it's inbred in you. I'm sure, yeah, down in the South it's bad too, but in more places than
Yeah.
others. But Boston, I think, I don't know where Boston stands above like other Northeast type cities. Was it because of Bill Russell? I don't know. Or because of the success? I don't know.
I find Boston not to be racist. Maybe it was deemed racist because it's partially where civilization of the early settlers began.
It's possible. It's possible. And then more recently with the stuff that happened with Adam Jones, the Orioles a few years back, where there were racial slurs that were uh, fired out at him. But that's just some asshole. It's never
Look at
stopped.
Jim Rice. Jim Rice never had a great relationship with the Boston media, and he says and he tells you.
No, but I'm gonna I'm gonna give a hot take here on something about Jim Rice. And I don't know. I guess this would be controversial. It's just my take. Jim Rice's beef with the media and what made him very hard to get along with was he was very, very privatized, very blocked off from the media. And I think because he was a nice guy, you know what I mean? But with the media, because they were always trying to follow him, whatever. Someone like Jim Rice, I wouldn't be surprised, would be one of those old school athletes. Let's say he was gay, right? And the type of gay that would be like, someone would go so far to get married and have kids. I mean, like I see mannerisms or whatever, and I'm not judging by any means, but what I'm saying is that I think if he was someone like Peter Gammons knows, Peter Gammons was able to, Peter Gammons wrote a book, and there was some like tidbits in there about it, but the nature of Rice's problem with the media was how privatized he just tried to hide shit. Not hide shit, but just he was difficult with the media because he wanted things to be private, and he was an all elite athlete, and you have to make yourself accessible. So he made things difficult for the media, and they took it out on him. But at the end of the day, who knows what his private life is? It's his business, and he's in the Hall of Fame. He's one of the greatest left fielders we've ever saw.
Yes, yes.
There was
How
there was
long did he control left field for 15 years? 20
74,
years?
74 to 86, like 87, 88, 89. He was pretty much relegated to DH because his eyesight went. That's why he retired. Um, but I had a
Remember
debate
wearing
with.
the big glasses?
Yes, yeah, his eyes are bad. His eyes are very bad. And just to clear it up before anyone, if there's any criticism for what I said, I'm not saying Jim Rice is gay. I'm saying hypothetically, like if he had private, a private life, that he wanted to keep private. You know what I mean? I got to make sure I'm clear what I'm saying on that. I'm not insinuating. But just making an example of like why someone would want to keep their shit so private to like block every. He could have been going to the ramrod or something, and the press might have been following him or something. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But I had a debate. I had a debate on someone with in '78 Gidry. It was like Gidry. Rice won the MVP that year. He was lights out. He had like 15 triples, 406 total bases, 46 home runs, 314 batting average. He was clear cut MVP. And there was a debate back in that day is that Gidry should have got that because he was 25-3 with a 1.7 ERA. But Gidry didn't go out there but every 5 days. Rice did it every day. And they have an award for pitchers. It's called the Cy Young Award. And if you go back in time, there was a lot of controversy as if Rice didn't deserve it. But I think that controversy is back to what we were talking about, like the criticism that he took for being difficult with the media. Look what happened in '95 with Albert Bell. He was the MVP, but they gave it to Mo Vaughn because Bell was an asshole.
Yeah.
Albert Bell was the clear-cut MVP. But like back then, that criticism for Rice was present then because he was an asshole to the media.
Scott Solak told a great story about Mo Vaughn today. There was a party, and Scott Zolak was hosted at his house, and Mo Vaughn got so wrecked that he headbutted the kitchen wall and put a hole in it, and wanted him to get it fixed.
Was this in his playing days?
Let's move on tonight.
Was this?
They used to all hang out. Clemens would come over, and
Yeah, right.
Zolak was describing it.
Yeah,
they all played right around the same time.
Yeah, they did, and obviously that Foxy Lady incident when I remember him showing up the next day at the game with like a black eye. I mean, he was a young guy, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he was great. He was absolutely fantastic, but like they failed to sign him. And he was one of those guys like Fred Lynn that once he left Boston, his career went in the shitter. Had he stayed, I think he would have been fine. But I don't think we would have got Big Papi. You know what I mean? I think Mo Vaughn ended up going to the Mets because he failed in Anaheim. And then his career ended in '02, and that's right when Papi came in with Jeremy Giambi. They were both signed together to Platoon.
Yeah,
and
I remember. Well,
I had no faith in David Ortiz. I was like, who's this scrub? They're going to platoon first base. And I was still bitching about Mo Vaughn back then. I was like, they should have just kept Big Mo. But if you remember, his first year in Anaheim, he went for a fly ball. And it went into the dugout. And he fell down the stairs. And that's where his troubles began. It was just some freak injury. So that was also part of his decline as well. And then, then he put on the weight. You knew that he always had the potential to be big with that body type, but when he was on, man, he was that '95 team, Canseco, Mo, Rocket, Greenwell, Sealy. I mean, I think they rostered like 60 players that year. Like Dan Duquette had like a revolving door of players. Willie McGee was on that team. Zane Smith. And they were rolling, man. And that first game of the ALDS, man, it went like 14 innings. And they were going toe-to-toe with the Indians. And then Tony Pena hit that friggin' home run to win it. And then it was all downhill. It looked like they could have hung. He was a great catcher. Great backstop. Roger Clemens, personal catcher.
All right, so we talked a little Red Sox. We'll end with the Patriots. Right now, it's looking that things don't look good in New England right now. The defense looks good. The offense, it looks horrible.
Jay, hold on one second. I got a situation. I'm gonna bounce out and come back in. Randy, what are you doing, dude? What are you doing? What's the problem? Hold on, Jay. I'm gonna bounce out and come back here. Hold on.
Well, we're back again. Jimmy Fingers had a bounce out, so let's give a shout out to New England Power Washers. That's right. Call New England Power Washers if you're looking to have your home cleaned, your gutters cleaned, your sidewalk or driveways power washed. New England Power Washers, the official power washers of Zolak and Bertrand. And Fingers is back.
I'm back.
All right. So we talk a little bit. Let's just talk a few minutes on the Patriots right now. Things are looking like people had basically said they would look. I was one of the ones that didn't believe it would look this rough. I thought things would catch on. But Mac Jones and that offense has to be grasped in number two. The defense looks really good, but
I was going to put him at the top.
offense looks totally the shit.
You know, the way people are talking, you would think they lost 3 straight, but they've won 2 straight and looked like shit in doing so. I mean, the defense is adequate, but Jay, Mac Jones, I'm sorry, man, he's just not the guy. I mean, you look at what Tua's doing over there, and he's not that great. I don't even think if you put like the weaponry around him, he just looks very apprehensive. Justin Fields is now looks like the best quarterback of that draft. It took him a while, but like with those legs of his, like he's starting to find his way. Where Mac is regressing. Maybe the coaching change did it, but like they'll be an average team. It's an offensive league. You got to have weapons. Patriots don't have weapons. Stevenson's a nice running back for sure. Hunter Henry is definitely an adequate tight end, but like this ragamuffin band of wide receivers, just you need the Tyreek Hills. You need the like why didn't they get Juju? You know what I mean? Juju, look at it. Look at him. He's resurged. You know, a Jamar Chase. Like you need one of those guys. Patriots don't have that. They have a bunch of number 4 wide receivers, number 3 wide receivers, and until solid number 2, number 3, he's their best receiver for certain. But you put him behind like a real stud number 1, and that's what you need. Like look at Cincinnati with like Chase, Higgins, Boyd. Like they got like a 3, and like outside of Jacoby Myers, Aguilar was always never worth what they paid for him. You know, I mean, revisionist history. You always go back to the draft, and you're thinking like, oh man, they could have had DK Metcalf. It's like, where is the scouting there? Is Bill that far gone that he can't recognize talent or understand that it's an offensive league now? And then you go back, and Jay, I remember screaming up and down the 2019 draft. It was like, Lamar Miller is there at 18. Lamar Miller is there at 18. I mean, Lamar Jackson is there at 18. Look, he's a 6'4" specimen, like big, got legs. Just put him behind Brady for that year because Brady was going to kick boot it. He was going to leave anyway. Lamar Jackson is a franchise quarterback, and just like Mac Jones isn't even that big, but like, at what point does Kraft look at all these miscues drafting wise and say, you know what, Bill, just coach. Let's get a real GM that knows how to, you know what I mean? Because obviously he still knows how to coach, but there's just, the nepotism, just like the refusal to give out actual titles. His son, I guess he's doing all right, but like this Judge Patricia thing, I don't know, man. It just seems in disarray. If he wants to get Shula's record, he might have to go to Dallas to get it, because at some point, Kraft is gonna have to take a look at this and say, you know what, I'm 82 years old, 85 years old. Do I want to wait around for a rebuild at my age? No. He wants to win, man. And if they don't make the playoffs this year, man, I guarantee you Kraft is going to take a look at it. Because if they come out of the bye like they did last year, you remember how it went? They were in the same place they were now. And they lost, what, 5 out of 7? And still made the playoffs, but they got hammered by an offensive juggernaut, Buffalo Bills, who whipped their ass. Patriots had nothing for them. Okay, you speak. I rambled there. Sorry, Ben.
No, the one thing that just comes to mind right now is Bill has a record of being the second all-time winningest coach in NFL history. And as much as we can sit here and say Kraft has to do this, Kraft has to do that, Kraft's 85, so is Jerry Jones. A lot of these old guys, a lot of these old owners are getting old. I think, and this is just me, I think Belichick's here for another year or two, and it don't matter. And it's Kraft looks at it as much as he says he wants a home win, so we want a home playoff win. Every one of us wants to have the glory days again.
Yeah, but does he? But does he tell Bill? Does he tell Bill? Does he tell Bill, hey man, keep coaching?
Yeah, I think the Patriots go out this time with Lamar Jackson as a free agent. $50 million a year.
Well, guess what?
$250 million.
Yeah, he's a free agent. What if Kraft says, go get the motherfucker? Trade Mac Jones or keep him as a backup and go get me Lamar Jackson. Here's the money. I mean, you look at the successful quarterbacks in today's NFL. You know what I mean? Like Michael Vick started that trend, but like he was not durable enough to keep it going. But like it's not only running backs who can throw, but like run too. I mean, Mahomes is an exception. Herbert's an exception. But like you got to be able to run a little bit. Like I see nothing special in Mac Jones whatsoever. Do you?
I never said I know. I thought Mac Jones, if they were running the same style offense that they have run here for the past 20 years, which is Tom Brady style, I thought Mac Jones did perfect in that style of an offense. I think what they're doing with him now has made him regress, and a huge part of it has to do with the offensive line learning a whole new scheme.
Well,
The Patriots, what
you,
they should have just, even though McDaniels left, they should have kept the same offensive structure that they've had for the past 20 some odd years.
I would have never thought McDaniels would be such a failure like he is right now, and with the Raiders and that team. I am shocked that they are so mid. But like when
Coming back next year, Brady going there for 1 year.
yeah,
Garoppolo.
yeah, what to Vegas?
Yes.
Yes, if you just look at the body language of everything with Brady, he was forced to go back to the Bucks. They wouldn't mess, they wouldn't do they made him go back to the Bucks because of his contract. And then of course the divorce happened, right? Brady is just going back going through the motions. When he is finished this year, Now that he is divorced, he's going to keep playing, and he's going to go to the Raiders. And I think I wouldn't be surprised if he plays till he's 50. But he wants out of Tampa Bay, Jay. As you can see, it's not the same. You know what I mean? I believe that it was always a short window there. And right now, it's just not the same. Like Gronk and AB was like the difference makers in that first year. You know what I mean? And now he's got, Mike Evans is solid. He's a stud. Godwin's a stud. But outside of that, he doesn't have anything else. Fournette's solid. But like even the defensive line isn't as good. It's just time to move on, man. He's going to be what do you call it? What do you call those people who travel like a nomad now towards the end of his career? I think seeing Brady in black and silver would be a nice sight. He'll find Devontae Adams. Derek Carr sucks. He's horrible. I don't see any quarterbacks out of the draft. You know what I mean? Like I don't see any free agents going back to the Patriots. That is, it's like, did you see when Mac Jones was out, how different the team looked with Zappy? Like they just seemed so like a different team and so energized and offensive. Like they looked like they had some offensive power. But that's because Zappy adapted to what the coaches were telling him, where I think Mac Jones is resisting because he's used to what he had last year. So I don't even know if Mac Jones is worth anything, but like if you go throughout the league, not every team has a great quarterback. Look at freaking Carson Wentz. He's a bum. He was a second overall pick, first overall pick
Yep.
with who else
Yeah,
went
that
there?
one year, and Foles went ahead of him.
Who went ahead of him? Goff?
I meant, yeah, when he got injured. Yeah, I believe Goff did, but Nick
Yeah.
Foles ended up taking his job. That's
And you
why
realize
Carson Wentz became good.
and you do realize if Wentz stayed in there, the Patriots would have hammered them. I
Yeah.
mean, the Patriots should have hammered fucking Foles too. It's just like that one certainly doesn't baffle me as much as the two losses to the Giants. But
Oh, that David Tyree one was horrendous. That
you know,
broke my heart.
Jason, I would trade 2 Super Bowls for that one because on that David Tyree play, there was 3 series of events that would have ended the Super Bowl for the Patriots. Was like the missed sack before he threw the ball. They had 9 dudes on him, and Eli escaped. And then he just threw it up just aimlessly. And Tyree
I
makes
know
that catch.
Eli Manning.
I, and then the missed interception by Samuel was, I think, the play before that. That would have iced it because Randy Moss
Yeah,
scored the game-winning touchdown with 2:09 left. Patriots up 14-10. All they had to do was make a stop, and they missed the sack. No, Asante Samuel missed the interception. Then they missed the sack on the same play. Eli just throws it up. Tyree gets it. Plaxico. Oh man, that's to me, that was worse than 86 to me. You know why? Because the Red Sox, even though Buckner let that ball roll through his legs, the Mets didn't win the World Series. They still had a game 7 to play.
that's right.
And this was just one shot deal. And I will never forget sitting here on my couch watching the game and just getting ready to celebrate 19-0. It's like, do you realize that would be no matter what happened to anybody else, they would be known as the greatest team in history. And
Yep.
it's gone. And oh man, even though they lost, that was my favorite Patriots team because they were killing people. Randy Moss was on the team, and it was like Bill Belichick was on that mission because he got charged with the cheating thing, the Spygate deal. That's when he
Yeah.
that's when he went out and got aggressive with free agency and trades. He was like, "All right, I'll show you, motherfuckers." And he went out there and they. You got to remember the year before that was the when they were up in the AFC title game against the Colts, right? the Patriots would have played the Bears in that Super Bowl and got avenged 1986. So you got the Spygate,
Yes.
and then the loss to the Colts, and then Belichick got pissed, went out and got Moss and Welker and Delius Thomas and friggin' Dante Stallworth. What a wagon! What a
Yep.
season! And then the next year they probably could have repeated it, but that's when he got hurt, and you had the Matt Castle year. And it took them 10 years to win another Super Bowl, man. 10 years. That's crazy to think
Yeah.
that like with all those years of Brady, that they went from 2004 2004, yeah, 2004 was the last one, to 2014 versus the Seahawks. They of course had two Super Bowl appearances in there, but those losses, the second Super Bowl, Jay, I didn't even watch because I was like, you know what? I can't even watch the Giants because if they do this again, I'll hang myself. I didn't watch that Super Bowl. And it was like there was a series of events that were almost as similar. Like Gronk was playing on a bad leg, and they still had the lead, but like they fucked. I don't know. Welker missed the ball. That's right. Welker missed the winning. What would have been the winning drive? It went right through his hands. And then the next ball turnover, it wasn't Plaxico this time. It was Mario Manningham. Same play
Yep.
as Plaxico. Game over. And you look at Eli, and you look at his career. Without those two Super Bowl wins, that's not a Hall of Famer.
He's up. No.
Not even close, dude. Every other year, other than those 2 years, look at the overall record of the Giants. They were mid. So, I mean, those two Super Bowls will probably put him in. But, man, and you just look at Eli, and he really looks like he's intellectually disabled. Like, it's just like, how does Brady lose to him? Like Foles, yeah, I'll give it to, you know what I mean? It's just like, whatever, man. Any given Sunday, right? But you flip
Yep.
you flip things around, though, as much as I can, I mean, as much as I'm lamenting about the 2007 Patriots and 18-1. Don't forget, Jay, the Patriots had no business beating the Seahawks. Pete Carroll and the cornerback there, the one who
Keep
made
it
the
right there. Hold on 1 second.
yeah.
Mother Nature called, pal.
That's all right,
So,
man.
anyways,
As much
let's wrap this up.
let me
Let's wrap this up with the.
let me
Yep.
finish my statement
Go
on
ahead.
this because as much as I just lamented on the 2018-1 Patriots, and it took them 10 years to win another Super Bowl. Marshawn Lynch runs that in, Patriots lose. No one would have been shocked by that. Then you had the 28-3. Like if the Patriots had lost that one, none of us would have felt the heartbreak of either of those two. If the Patriots lost those two Super Bowls, both of them combined would not make us feel like we felt when they lost 18-1. I would trade the Atlanta Super Bowl and the Seattle Super Bowl for that 19-0.
Okay. Yeah.
And then they
Without a doubt.
won another one against the Rams. Like I'll let the Eagles one go. I mean, whatever. You can't win them all, but like I think ultimately for all of us over the last 20 years, we're just fucking spoiled motherfucking brats, and we expect excellence all the time because you are old enough to live through Loserville. It's like the Celtics and Bruins won when we were little. Okay, I don't remember them. Like 1970, 72 Bruins. Celtics, 1974, 81, 83. Yeah, so we were old enough to enjoy the Celtics championships. But the Red Sox and the Bruins, Patriots, nothing. But 2001 on, dude, we've had 14 parades in 20 years.
Yep.
That is incredible.
I tell people growing up I was not a Patriots fan. I was growing up in the 80s. I was a Dallas Cowboys fan.
Yeah.
I was not a huge I mean, I love the Patriots, but the team I really was interested in was the Cowboys. And I'd have to say my whole recollection of the early 70s that I can remember through sports, I was a Cowboys fan.
Cowboys, Steelers, man. And they were
It was
Raiders,
Pa-
Raiders too.
Yep, Patriots to me was when you see the old Pat Patriot bend over. I remember my neighbor used to say, "Yep, it's because the Patriots get it up the ass."
Yeah,
That's
but
why.
you know what's crazy though? There was one year, right, during those years, like when the Steelers, Cowboys, and the Raiders were the team. Grogan Grogan's second year, 76. The Patriots were fucking
Yeah.
like 12-2, dude. They were good. They were good enough to
Yes.
go and win the Super Bowl, but they just couldn't sustain it. Like the next year they sucked. And it was like the Raiders beat them in the AFC to go to the Super Bowl. And they had Steve Grogan and
It
Matt
was the same
Cavanaugh.
year that Darryl Stingley got
Yes, sir. Yes, and they were good. Yep, yeah, that was the year. And I think they had
yeah.
another good year there too. But like you got to remember too, man, they drafted Jim Plunkett and they gave up on him too
Yes.
soon, and he won two with the Raiders. So he was actually better than Grogan. But when you got to 86, did the Patriots didn't they choose Tony Eason over Dan Marino? Let's
I think
fact
they
check on
did. I
that.
think Marino was one of the last. I think the Marino was one of the last quarterbacks taken in that draft, in
I
that
don't know
first round.
why was Tony Eason starting in that Super Bowl? Was Grogan hurt or was he just at the end?
I think that they that what's his name there, who
Ray
Raymond
Berry.
Berry thought that Ray Berry thought that that was the choice.
Yeah. Well, from there, you know what people don't realize is that Doug Flutie was on the Bears as a third stringer. He came right over from the USFL, and then
Yep,
and then I remember being so excited when the Patriots got him because he was Boston College, man. He was a hero here.
yep.
But when he got to the Patriots, you know what I mean? Like they were shit. They were garbage. He didn't have a chance, and of course he was undersized. But like there was something special about Flutie. When he went to the CFL, he killed it. Then came back like 12 years later. What did he come back to the Bills? Almost brought them to a second round, and then he finished with the Patriots too. Yeah, he did. He came back, did the drop.
Bills and Chargers that did really well.
He did. He did. Drew Brees praises him upside down. Drew Brees speaks very highly of Flutie. He said he learned a lot from Flutie, and yeah, if you forget, Brees played for the Chargers first. But as
All
the
right,
overall
so
as the overall synopsis for the Patriots, Jay, they're on a bye week. I think let's see what happens. I mean, hopefully I'm wrong. And just like I was wrong with James Montgomery as the coach of the Bruins, and I'll never cop to being wrong, man. Mac Jones he's gotta turn it up a notch because I don't see it with him. But they also got to give
they
him a
got
fucking Tyreek Hill. Like they need a fucking superstar wide receiver. Tyreek Thornton is skinnier than I am. But like
how
if
many games they got left? 8 or 9?
8,
Five. Okay, so what are they? 5-4 right now.
5-4, they drafted that kid Thornton in the first round, right? Give him the
Second
ball.
round.
Second round. Okay, that's still
Yeah.
a high spot for a receiver. Air it out to him, man. Let's see what he's got because you got Jacoby and they fucked up Kendrick Bourne. I mean, he had talent, but again, he was a number 3, number 4 receiver. He's in the doghouse. Hunter Henry's always been a solid tight end. Jonnu Smith was always a
Yeah.
solid tight end. They're not being utilized right here, but they got to get on the same page and just realize that you have to win shootouts in this league now. They're not defensive. They're not. It's not a defensive league anymore. Yeah, it helps, but it's offense first now.
Yeah.
And until they
All
adjust,
right. So let's talk. Let's just talk a quick minute or two about the upcoming pay-per-view here in Boston, Massachusetts, at TD Bank North Garden.
yes, Jay, yes. Let's talk a few minutes of
Right.
wrestling.
Yep. So everybody knows Bray Wyatt's back. We don't need to talk about that, so to speak. I
No,
just
no,
want to
no, no,
talk
no, no.
main event.
Did you see SmackDown tonight?
No, I did not.
Okay, well, it's relative to now that the crown jewel is over. Now we have to
Yes.
set the stage for War Games.
I can't lie. I seen the first hour of SmackDown. I seen up until the Roman Reigns. They were in the locker room after the Usos won the tag team match. So I seen the locker room skit where he hugged him and he said they had to come out and he had an announcement to make. So I'm gathering that this announcement was very epic. And
It wasn't, because basically what you had was you had a really odd segment tonight with Bray. Now, we love the fact that LA Knight is LA Knight again. Fantastic
yeah,
on the mic. This guy has all the potential in the world to be a top performer and entertainer. He's got the goods that, he's got that stick. He's good on the stick and he's good in ring. Now, this is a guy you want to build. Now, LA Knight was doing one of the backstage interviews with one of the Kayla Braxton or whoever the girl is interviewing, right? And he's talking, and you see the Bray Wyatt moth on the screen in back of him, and he's just like, yeah, let me talk to you, and he's like, what is this? What is wrong with the board? And all of a sudden, Bray's in his face. Bray Wyatt is in LA Knight's face, just saying, man, I know that anger, but I didn't get the pairing of these two. And I'm thinking, don't put LA Knight with Bray because it's going to kill him, because Bray's not losing. So they might, LA Knight jaw jacked him pretty good. He was like, go play with your puppets. So Bray headbutts him and fucking knocks him the fuck out. And then they go to the next segment. And I was like, man, don't do that. Puts LA Knight in a no-win situation. But then again, who are you going to put Bray up against right now? Someone's gonna be fed to Bray. And I thought maybe that, does he bring the Wyatt Six and do the bloodline? Not go for the title, but like faction versus faction? No. It's the Brawling Brutes and Sheamus. That's who addressed the bloodline tonight. So it's going to be them
really.
versus. Yeah. Yeah. I don't get it. I mean, I'm not feeling that. What about you? How do you feel about that? I mean, who else would you put the bloodline against?
It's just very odd. You got that pay-per-view is what, 2 weeks away?
Yeah. Now it's 5
3
on
weeks
5,
away?
right? It's 5 on 5, right? So you got
Yeah,
Sammy, the three Usos, and Roman. That's 5.
yeah.
The Brawling Brutes are Pete Dunne, Sheamus. Who's the other one?
Ridge Holland.
Ridge Holland. So there's still
I
a
thought it
level.
was going to be the OC. I really thought it was going to be the OC was going to hop in there.
Me too, but I think you're going to have the OC and Judgment Day. The OC added Mia Yim to oppose Rhea.
So why wouldn't that be up for a potential eliminate whatever the
It will
It
be.
was called War Games.
It will be, but like, there's still like, it's not 5-on-5 yet. I mean, Judgment Day, are they 5 already?
No,
Damian,
but they
Finn.
could always add another one. They always could add one more.
Well, they're not going to do mixed, are they, for that? Or will they? Will they have Rhea wrestle in that match?
Interesting. That would be very interesting if Rhea and Mia Yim get in there, and it's just Mia and
Well, they would have to go by
whatchamacallit.
gender rule where the women would have to tag in. But what I really loved seeing was was Ripley body slam and Big Doc Gallows a couple of times. Like, that's the shit China and Jacqueline used to do. I always got a kick out of that.
Yep.
And Gallows, you know, you see.
I think that if they're in War Games, no, I just think that they would more or less they would fight each other.
Oh, okay. So is not every match going to be 5-on-5? Or I mean, isn't there going to be 2 rings set up?
No, I think War Games could be 4-on-4.
Okay. Well, you're going to have Damage Control and Sasha and Naomi.
It's definitely Damage Control versus Bailey's crew. And from what I was told, look out for
Sasha.
Sasha's going to be added to Bailey's team, and you're going to see what you call it. You're going to see Charlotte
Oscar
and Becky added.
Oh yeah. Right. Yes. Yep. But that's 3. There's 3 right there that we're talking about. 3. What's Roman doing? Is he fighting a 1-on-1? Or is Bray gonna get in his face?
No, I don't think they do that yet, man. I really don't.
Well,
I think I seen a write up the other day that was very interesting. How would you feel about Sami Zayn being the guy that ultimately is the one that wins the title from Roman Reigns?
At this stage of the game, you know what? I've always respected Sami, but he was never one of my top guys. But what he's done lately, you can't deny the guy, man. He's entertaining. He's always been a great wrestler, but like he's really hit his stride. But I honestly think that even though I would think that that's cool, I think that it's ultimately got to be like, you know, KO's got to get back involved, and maybe they're the ones who take the tag titles outside of Sami Zayn, which is a good
thing that was, was written up and was food for thought, because how Sami Zayn has infiltrated getting into the bloodline. That wouldn't it be like the ironic, or the word I'm looking for, I'm not finding, but I'm just saying it would be an interesting turnabout if Zayn was to end up the undisputed WWE champion when all is said and done.
Yeah, but see, after that though, it's like, you know, Cody's got that ticket stamped, right? I still think that they got to somehow separate the titles, because I don't see anybody worthy enough other than Roman to walk away with both titles. If they can find a way to have Roman drop one of them, maybe at Royal Rumble, maybe that one of them can go to Sami.
The title is going to become one. I'm telling you that right now. It's going to become one big belt after WrestleMania. So it's not going to. They've already put over the fact that the United States Championship is the flagship title on the USA. You're one of not many. A lot of people don't even care about the title being on the show. To be that, well, a lot of people are very just to the point where they're glad to get a good storyline out of the main product. And another thing is look for it's always been a focal point of the women's championship to be highlighted as a main event on Monday Night Raw in past episodes.
Well, I mean,
so
look what we grew up with, Jay. You know what I mean? Like when we grew up here in the Northeast, we had one world champion. There was one NWA champion, one AWA champion. I am all for that, but only if you just end the brand split and talent can go to both shows. If you have two separate shows, and let's face it, there is no fucking brand split because everybody's showing up on every show. I don't know why both networks can't just like, hey, let's both share all of the talent together. Like, but if you're gonna have like separate shows, then you got to have a championship for each show that people are actually fighting for. Yes, the U.S. title is representative of the main title right now, but we've always viewed the U.S. title like the Intercontinental title because you do have an Intercontinental title on SmackDown. So you have two titles being defended. Walter's been a great champion, and I, I think you're right. I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong, but my preference would be to get split those titles up again, man, because Cody's going to have to win one, and who's hot? Who is worthy enough to even be a champion other than Cody? Sammy's a good one.
You have the world champion and you have the universal champion. I like the one champion.
Well, keep in mind that
the United States belt is perfectly a perfect flagship title because it's on the United States of America network, the USA network.
100%.
I think it fits hand in hand. I think if you can fool that, and I think another thing is with the way that women's wrestling has become so relevant on WWE that you see more main events on Raw with women's matches than you do SmackDown ending on a women's match. SmackDown, on 75% of their shows, is always ending in a male-gendered match. Whereas you see
here's where you make a good point about unifying that belt. If they do decide to split the titles up, they have to be very careful on which title they split up because they're very big on numbers. They want to get Roman to 1,000 days. WrestleMania will get him to 1,000 days, but that 1,000 days is with the Universal Championship, not with the other title. He only won that in January. So if they don't unify them, they got to keep the Universal one on him for Mania. But we don't know if he's fighting The Rock or not. If he's not fighting The Rock, then he's fighting Cody. Somehow, Jay, I think I love Bray. You know that, man. And I don't like when people say, "Oh, he doesn't need a title." When you're in the business, man, don't you want to be champion? Don't you strive to be champion? Isn't that the top of the mountain? Take ahead title runs for Christ's sakes. You know, I want to see Bray be a champion. And I think that Bray is the only one, while the iron is hot, that poses any threat to Roman whatsoever. If Cody didn't get hurt, it might have already happened. But like lights go out, Bray's in Roman's face. He's the only one that's even believable enough to take down Roman. Sammy's a great idea, but let's face it, Sammy's a little bit of comedy too. But Bray, he's the shit right now. He's the top guy, top merch seller already. And Roman is just kind of he's still great, but like Bray and Roman are 1 and 2 right now. Flip them however you want. Other than Sammy, like you mentioned, who is viable to make you believe they have a chance to win that any of those titles right now? Cody, Bray, or
I
Sammy?
don't think you see Bray Wyatt end up with the belt for about a year. I think Cody Rhodes is your next world champion, no matter if The Rock comes back or not.
Well, I
this is the first WrestleMania that you're going to see Roman Reigns will main event both nights. He'll main event night one against The Rock, and he'll main event night two against Cody Rhodes, because Cody Rhodes will come back and will win the Royal Rumble.
I like that. I'll buy that. And you know what? You're right about Bray. If you look what happened when he became the Fiend, they rocket shipped him right to the title, and it fucking destroyed him. It destroyed the whole thing. Had they let that breathe a little bit and then work towards it, it killed him. It killed him. So they shouldn't make that mistake. Let Bray build his story. The only thing I don't want to see, Jay, is I don't want to see any more masked wrestlers to that extent. I want to see real people. Yeah, if you're gonna wear a mask and have an outside force like Mr. Howdy is right now, that's fine. But I don't want to see six dudes showing up in like crazy horror masks and shit and wrestling in them. If Barry Windham wants to be a high, like an what do you call it, a mentor type of personality in this thing, even Mike Rotunda for that, like if it's family related. But if you read the reports recently, Bray is pushing for Rowan to come back and Bo Dallas for sure to be part of this thing, and he has a lot of stroke because Triple H is letting him have all the creative he wants. Rowan, I'd like to see come back with him for sure, because that will also be a tribute to Brody and the old Wyatt family. And then you add Bowen, who's family, and then there's a female involved, and I don't know who that's going to be. Maybe his sister, his real life sister.
What if it's Nikki Cross who fits?
It wouldn't shock me because I'm glad to see that she's Nikki Cross again. That's who I always liked. Like the Nikki Ash thing was stupid. There was talks of maybe Liv Morgan. I don't want to see Alexa Bliss near this thing unless Bray sends out a girl to make her pay for what she did at Mania, and turn on him. Like, he can send a girl out after Alexa Bliss. I don't want to see her involved in this thing. Do you?
No, not at all. I'd like to see somebody different. I'd like to see. I think Nikki Cross would fit perfect because she's evil, demonic. She's got skits. She could. If this is a schizophrenic type of gimmick that Bray is doing, I believe she fits perfect. She's definitely a paranoid schizophrenic.
If they were to bring anyone from the outside, I think someone like a Rosemary or even an Abaddon would be a good female type character for that. But Nikki Cross fits that bill as well.
I think they're with somebody on the payroll right now.
Yeah. Lastly,
Yep.
and man, I hate saying this, man, but CM Punk was seen calling UFC fights. I don't want to see him anywhere near a wrestling ring, WWE or AEW, unless he smooths it over with Triple H, because Steve Austin wants to come back and do another Mania. If Triple H can shore him up short term, that would be the match I'd want to see: Punk versus Austin, and then see a Punk. Give him a payday. That'll be 6 months, and his buyout will be complete. But Punk is, I don't like him, man. Like, I don't like what he did. I thought he shit on the business as a whole. AEW is absolutely ruined because of it. There's no climbing out of this for Tony Khan. I mean, MJF's going to win the title, Jay, right? But after that, where does he even go from there? Like, there's no one even.
It's their pay-per-view. Is it tomorrow night their pay-per-view?
The 19th. I mean, they got
Oh, the
fucking.
9th.
They signed Jeff Jarrett. I mean, nice promo, good mind. If you signed him to go backstage, fine. But like, TNA, I've said this a million times. AEW, I was so excited for first 2 years. Like, you saw something different. You saw an alternative. You saw a slow build. When they got Adam Cole, and then his just misuse of Malachi Black, Andrade, all of that shit built up to All Out with the scrum, and they can't. They're never going to recover. They're losing viewers by the truckload. They're not selling tickets anymore, and it's like, yeah, Jericho's the right people are in charge now, but like, all the AEW shows, like me, man, we're all tapped out. It's like Tony Khan is like Mike King always said, he's a money mark, and he's running it like a toy chest. And I love the Acclaimed. I mean, you still have enough talent there, but unless you book the shit right, you got too much Ring of Honor. It's like ROH Dynamite. Everybody's got a title, and there's no continuity, and there's not enough time to sink your storyline into someone's attention, because the best storyline they had before Double or Nothing was Wardlow and MJF.
Oh yes.
Wardlow is ice cold. He's been stuck in a tag team with Samoa Joe. He's got no program defending that title, and it's all littered with like ROH shit, which I would love ROH to be an entity and have its own show. But let's face it, ROH was never a globally watched. It was a niche audience,
Yep.
just MLW. I mean, it's a mess. I can't even watch it anymore. Daniel Bryan is he's in there and he's trying to. I can see he's trying to help out younger talent, but it's not working. It's not working. It's just like, I think ultimately what you're going to have is you're going to have William Regal turn on Mox, and you'll have a partnership there. And then somehow, maybe, I think the only thing MJF could do is run with that title until the next Double or Nothing. And I think the only one suitable enough is Bryan Danielson, because there's no more
Yep.
surprises to get. It's a disgrace what he's done with FTR. It's a disgrace that he never put his balls on the table to put the Briscoes on TV. I can't stand the dude, man. Mike was right. I got to give the devil his due. You know, you got to keep in mind too, Jay, that when I was shilling for AEW, Vince was still booking for WWE, and it was dog shit.
Yep.
WWE is on the top of my list right now, is because H is running it, and you see the improvement. WWE is 10 times better than it was a year ago, 5 years ago, maybe even 10 years ago. We complained about how Keith Lee was treated, how Karrion Kross was treated, and rematch. No, Nikki Cross threw the 24/7 title in the rubbish. She missed the barrel, but she
Yep.
fucking threw that shit in the rubbish. We love WWE again because Triple H is running it. And you guys did your best to defend it, man. But anytime I bitched about WWE, it was because of what we were getting. And you guys admitted it a lot of the time. It was like, what is this? What is that? Taking people's names away. Not, you can't say wrestling. You can't say belt. Triple H, if you notice, is alluding to history now. Like, they mentioned Demolition's name tonight. They mentioned like stuff that they don't usually mention. You know, it's just like, it's refreshing.
Shinsuke Nakamura not going to be at the day one, and will be wrestling against the
Muda,
Great Buddha.
love it.
Yep, they mentioned that. They
Vince
mentioned it.
and Great Muda, he's still got a couple of gallons of gas in the tank, man. So that's fantastic.
That's a farewell match.
Yeah, and maybe Triple H will open some doors. You know what I mean, to kind of bring some of that in. With where Tony Khan failed was when he had the opportunity to really seize the opportunity when Vince was booking like shit. His failure, like, I think the last big free agent he could have probably got was Bray, but he didn't do it. He couldn't do it. But CM Punk and Mike, again, I got to credit Mike King with this. CM Punk's return was definitely bigger than Bray's, because it was 7 years, and Punk did fine. But you know what? He didn't really change the game as much as I thought he would. As far as viewership went, I thought he was booked okay, but like collectively as a whole, you got to do it as a group. And Tony's failure to pay attention to everybody else because he was fanboying over CM Punk, that's what also created the tension. So it was just like Elite got jealous. It was just like, okay, you're gonna give him fucking 5 times more than us. That's what created the disharmony. But like, what wrestling business did Tony run before this? He needed to pay attention to the veterans and the people in the business around him. But he's so ADD,
Yep.
man. It's like ADD booking. And they were never,
Yep.
Jay, never, ever in the 3 years that they've been around, have they ever even been as good as TNA was when they were at their height. Like, TNA went like this, and by 2006, 7, 8, 9, 10, they were fucking fun to watch. But it didn't start off that way. They started in 02, and it took them till about 2005, 2006 to like really get to a really They were doing $4 million,
We
dude.
talk about a company that you're talking about a company that when they truly started their existence was charging $5 a week for a pay-per-view.
Yeah, but still, I mean, you had a
Yeah.
great mixture of veterans and young talent. And I'm sorry, man, Vince Russo did a good job booking there. Um, and Cornette was involved as well. And
Yep.
Dixie Carter didn't know shit, and she just said, "Go ahead, run it." Jeff Jarrett was running it, and that's where the disconnect is. Tony Khan should just be like, "All right, guys, write it. I can have the final say, approve or deny this, that, and the other." But he's got his hands. He's got like a 12-course meal on his plate with ROH and everything else, and that's why you got what you got. It's a failure. And yeah, when will the network pull the plug? I don't know, but like they're gonna at some point they're gonna say, yeah, we're not gonna renew you. Or I mean, what do you see? What do you see? I mean, you've always had an appreciation for the matches, which are fine. But like Jade Cargill. If you really break down her match, she's just an entity. Like she's got a good aesthetic, a good presentation, but she's really not that good.
No, she's viable. That's her whole thing.
Yeah,
Jade Cobb was viable. She hasn't put in enough work in the business yet uh, to be what she has, to have what she has right now in the business. Rumor had it that the WWE approached her, and
yeah.
she had basically she wanted things right away, and I'm glad the WWE didn't sign her right away.
No, you're gonna get their women's
She's
division.
like she's like the Black China,
Yeah, yeah,
you
very
know.
much so,
But
very much so.
so. But with that being said, we're getting to the little bit over the 90-minute mark now. I'm thinking we've covered a lot, man, and it's awesome that you were able to come on tonight and cover for the Gazoo. And you had mentioned you hoped that you could get more than 2 live viewers, and that the Gazoo gets, and you got one. So with that being said,
I'm fired.
uh,
I'm fired.
I had a great time tomorrow night, late night, talking wrestling with Jason Rumble and the boys. We'll hope to see you and catch you all next time on Talking from the Cheap Seats. I am Rumble, and he is the Pink Cat. We'll see you next time.
I am the